My name is Optimus Prime, and I endorse this podcast. Also, I'm about to bust.
Hello.
What's up?
Hello.
What's upwards?
What's going on? What's going on?
Many things are going on since
Many things are
last we
going on.
spoke.
Welcome to the podcast again.
Yeah, I wanted
Jim.
to.
He's Gary.
I wanted to. Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about
And
you.
this is Desperate for Content. We should have said that in sync, like Dick and Dom or something.
No. Are my levels okay? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, you're right, mate.
I'm always paranoid about that. So also, I'm thinking of scheduling the podcast because last week it went out on Tuesday at 6 p.m. and we got the most listeners we've ever had. So
Oh, really?
maybe we should aim for that every week.
Mate, hey, shout outs to whoever listened. How many people? Was it 4?
No, it was 19.
Jesus Christ, really?
Hell yeah.
Fucking let's go, baby. Thanks to those 19 people. Shout outs
We
to
are
you.
now rich men.
Now, yeah, where's my Manscaped sponsorship?
As a podcast. I tell you what, though, and I'm declaring it now live on the podcast, speak things into the universe and all that bollocks. If we do get approached by a network, I would love to be on Headgum, which is the podcast network that Jake and Amir from College Humor set up.
I would not take that.
Why not?
Or that. I don't know. I don't even know what it is. That's why to be contrarian.
Oh, okay.
I want to be on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Maybe one day.
Become true apes on the Joe Rogan Experience.
How Doom or Quake or whatever was ruining his life.
God, like if I think, but it's one of those things, right? Like I don't like Joe Rogan. Like, I really don't like Joe Rogan. But if Joe Rogan ever said, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" you don't say no. Like, 100% you say yes. Yeah. Like, because that is the biggest, like, one of the biggest platforms on the planet, right?
Of course, yeah.
Like, I would just go on there just to be like, Joe, shut up. Like, shut up, Joe. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up, Joe.
I don't know the first thing about Joe Rogan. I've only watched his podcast, it was 4 times. 1 or maybe 3. How many times has Alex Jones been on?
I think a couple of times, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, he platforms a lot of. Hold
on, before you continue, just want to clarify. I listened to the Alex Jones episodes for recreational.
Oh, no,
I don't like with any of the views. I was like, I'll go out my way and listen to Alex Jones. He's got a good head on his shoulder.
Alex Jones is funny as hell because he's just he's insane.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, his entertainment value is so high.
Yeah. Like,
it's mad.
Yeah, so I listened to the 2 episodes of him and the one with Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age.
Well, he's a literal gorilla. Like, that's what Joe Rogan is. He doesn't have a brain.
Okay.
He has, like, this tiny, tiny brain. And he's super reactionary. Super reactionary. Like, he's always like that. He just doesn't... I don't think he just gets it. I don't think he gets anything. He just speaks into the void and lets it happen. But, like, Joe Rogan as an entity and the podcast as an entity is, like, so influential. There are so many, like, I guess, apolitical people that listen to Joe Rogan and sort of are convinced by people that are on Joe Rogan or what Joe himself is saying. And it's a very, like, I don't know, it's a very, like, pathway to the right kind of shit. Like, I don't think Joe Rogan means that. I honestly don't think.
Yeah, I saw a couple of months ago he did endorse Bernie Sanders, so I think he just
I don't think he's that bad a person. I think he's just like, I just think he's dumb. Like, I
don't think he ever sees the effects of like the things he puts out.
Yeah, like having Ben Shapiro on and stuff.
Yeah, he could platform Alex Jones and get a bunch of tinfoil hat people riled up, but at the end of the day, he's making a lot of fucking money with that podcast. He'll go home to his life, which is probably insulated with his friends, his family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like he doesn't give a shit about this stuff outside of that. He's very he's just very like straight up like standard human being, Joe Rogan, right? He just I don't think he means any harm.
But I think model and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think he means any harm, but I think he causes harm, like indirectly.
Well, on a brighter note,
though.
Pardon me, just belch. That's real. That's raw. You don't get any on any other podcast.
Raw podcast. Yeah, we don't.
The most famous podcast that I'd want to be on is Last Podcast on the Left. Just talking about
I listened to a couple of them.
That's so fucking good.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of their episodes. It's good. I think I need to get more into podcasts because I find it. I've noticed I only really started listening to podcasts recently.
Yeah,
Obviously outside of our own podcast, which I obviously listen to on the daily.
bit narcissistic, but continue.
Yeah. No, like, but it's really it's great listening for just doing whatever. Like the
Yeah,
podcast is such a good art form for just like riding a bus or a train or whatever, because it just keeps you entertained and it keeps you sort of focused as if you are having a conversation with someone. Like it
yeah.
just keeps you focused the entire time. Like I listen to Chapo Trap House. It's pretty much the only podcast I really listen to at the moment. Very 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 lefty
Okay.
podcast. They're a bit the definition of the dirtbag left is what they were described
Well,
as.
I listen to quite a lot of podcasts. So I listened to Last Podcast on the Left, If I Were You, which is an advice podcast, but it's not at all serious most of the time, and that's by Jake and Amir. It's really good. I also listen to Jesus and Mero podcast. What's it
I
called?
like them.
Bodega Boys. Absolutely. There's one episode I tried to listen to when I was on the metro going to work one week, and holy shit, people must have thought I was mental because they were talking about like doing a real life Oregon Trail and like all like encountering like meth heads on the trail, and like they were doing all the voices and stuff, and it was so funny. I was losing my shit. Other podcasts I listen to, so sometimes depending on the guest, I used to listen to every episode, but they just get like people out of left field that I don't care about. Is the Chris Jericho podcast, Talk is Jericho, because I'm a wrestling fan. Yeah, so
Does what's his name have a podcast? Stone Cold Steve Austin.
he does. Yeah, I don't really listen to it. I was never that big on Stone Cold. I was always a rock guy.
Well, my issue, right, is that I love Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think Stone Cold is cool as fuck. I think he's super
Oh yeah,
cool.
I see the appeal in the
But
character.
but this is the thing, right? Like I feel like Stone Cold is one of those people that I just do not want to know his opinion on anything.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'll hate him if I do. Like I feel like he has bad opinions on stuff. I don't know what it is about him, but I just
always
feel like
it is always the worry with wrestlers. There's a story that came out about Shawn Michaels. It was like in a recent show backstage, he got the headline was like Shawn Michaels gets into an argument with a producer backstage regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, and I was like, oh no, Shawn, no. But then if you read the story, he was like going in on the producer for being ignorant. I was like, yes. Now that's a sexy boy.
Yeah, see but that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I think especially nowadays with such a like heated political climate and stuff. Anytime, I feel like also people are wilding at this point. I feel like a lot of like celebs and public figures and stuff are just wilding with some of their opinions. Like there's people like buying into the fucking anti-COVID stuff, like anti-mask shit, like. And these are like big names. Like Gina Carano is one of them.
Yeah.
Who's big lass from The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was like super like anti-mask and stuff, and like fucking no one's surprised. Obviously, Ian Brown and fucking one of the Gallagher brothers. I think no one's surprised by that.
Just as a sidebar, I just want to make it very clear. Britpop was the shittest era of British music.
100%.
And these gammons hang on to it like holy shit. The best band that came out of it was maybe Blur, because they transitioned into being the Gorillaz.
I was about to say the exact same thing. I like Damon Albarn. I think Blur were good. I think they had some good tunes. I think the rest of it can fuck off. I hate it. Because they're all very like I don't know. I feel like they've all just become gammons, like full on gammons. I mean, speaking of, even fucking what's his name?
Brain Worms.
What's his name? Johnny Rotten. He's a wanker. Isn't
That's a bit different because like back then, in terms of the Sex Pistols, is like people couldn't say it at the time because they didn't have like the optics and the full 360 view that social media gives you. But they weren't really a punk band. They were just happened to be like a stereotypical boy band type thing. It was sort of like, oh yeah, they look good. They can hardly play their instruments. Let's put them together. And yeah, they have some views that could be considered punk. They push them. They weren't like an actual punk band of any proper.
Well, that's
substance.
the thing. They had that like punk image, and he's like a proper like chud now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, an absolute chud.
He's a proper like right winger now. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird, but it is one of like it is a climate where I feel like it's in one hand, I'm getting a lot of like respect for a lot of celebrities that I do like, because I'm seeing them like come out in support of things, being like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I feel like people just keep getting they just keep saying stuff, and it's like, why? Like, why do you have to say that? Like, so some big celebrity will come out and say, I think COVID's fake, and I'm like, dude, why did you have to say that? I thought you were good in that film. Like, why do you have to do this? Don't do that.
I like Justin Timberlake and his wife. Like, is it Jessica Biel? They were like, "Oh yeah, we're anti-vax." Like, great.
Oh really?
Don't care. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we got married on a plantation." Like, Jesus Christ, just keep it to yourself.
You've ruined Justin Timberlake for me now.
I don't know if Justin himself is anti-vax, but his wife is very vocally anti-vax, which is dumb. She went to actual Senate and lobbied against vaccinations, stuff like that.
Oh Jesus!
Which comes back to the whole thing is like, these weirdos would rather their child be dead than risk them becoming autistic, which is a horrible stance to have, and you should feel ashamed. Also, forgot to say it at the start of the episode again, but fuck J.K. Rowling.
Fuck J.K. Rowling. Oh, and also, that's a very like interesting topic that's kind of relevant to like our line of work too. I think it was like the head of like Warner Brothers like games or whatever, who sent an email to the rest of the staff and was like, yeah, like, I don't really agree with her views, but she's entitled to them. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's not how you send that message, my friend. Like, that message sounds to you better than it actually is.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how you send that message, my friend.
If I pass someone in the street, they have the free will and usually the ability to just hoof me in the nads. But should they do it? No. Do I want them to do it?
Yeah.
No.
Like, and that's the thing, is they're super I don't know. It's like, for something like that, it's not like she said, I don't like pasta. It's like she says hateful shit, and she's gone like, it's become her entire personality and brand at this point. That's all she does. She's like Graham Linehan levels of just. Also, fuck Graham Linehan.
Fuck him.
She's like on Graham Linehan levels of just constantly. That's all she talks about. That's it. That's her life now. Her life is dedicated to making things bad for trans people.
Yeah.
Like, that's all she does. So for someone to like be the head of a company, being like, yeah, I don't agree with it, but she's allowed to say it. That's like, are you serious right now?
She's making me money.
Yeah, that's kind of the root of it, I guess. But I
think the not the best way to put it, because I imagine there's actual trans people who could formulate arguments that would run rings around my tiny brain.
Absolutely.
But like, the best way that I've had it put to me with my simple monkey brain was actually fucking Pete Davidson of all people. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure these trans people are going through years of hormone treatment and all the stress and all that stuff just so they could go and harass one person in a bathroom or pee in the same room as a different gender." Like, that's definitely not the case.
Oh, 100% not. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw something recently where there was like an article or something about that. Like, that's never happened.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen. But for some reason, it's fear, isn't it? It's always fear that
but like, stuff like that happens, but it's not to do with like trans people. Like, how many times
it's just blokes.
A woman like women sometimes, like, if they're out somewhere and there's too big a line for the women's toilets, they'll announce themselves going to the dudes' toilets, lock themselves. It was like, there's a line, I couldn't wait, blah blah blah, and everyone's like, okay, it's a bit weird, but fine. Like, stuff, if there's going to be predators in a bathroom, it won't matter like if what they identify as or where they come from. If their goal is to go in there and cause a ruckus, they're going to do it regardless of, and the last thing on their mind is what they identify as. Whereas trans people every day, I imagine, obviously I can't speak to it myself, is like trying to just live. And it's probably like, think about how many times the average person, unless they've got like a bowel or a bladder issue, thinks about going to the toilet. Like, as you go through the day, it's just something that you do, which is exactly what will likely comes with trans people who are like, oh, okay, I've drank water today, I need a piss. I've got a piss, go back to what I was doing, which is probably 10 times more important.
That's the thing, but like, But this is something that like a lot of sort of like right wing folks, and obviously like this is spread in tabloid media and stuff as well, which makes the general public think the same thing. They've done like a lot of this for the entire sort of like LGBTQ plus community, and this whole fear mongering that for some reason they make everything about it sexual. Like the media make everything about it sexual. Like this isn't just people's lives. This isn't just how people are. This is not just how they choose to love one another. No, it's for some reason for the media it's all about the sexual deviance and stuff, and it has been since like I don't know, like probably what the 50s. Like it's the same. It's the same. It's always been the same like that, and it sucks. Yeah, it's not great.
So
shout outs to all the folks out there that struggle with this kind of shit. Because
with that being said, when you think about people attacking marginalized groups and like coming on the internet and just saying whatever, just getting these shit takes off that are harmful, it comes to our first topic of today, 15 minutes into the podcast. Is it okay to harbor ill will towards evil people?
Absolutely.
I've put in brackets next to this. Yes.
First off, I'll come around and say the first thing is that regardless of what you actually like think in a situation like this, I also do not believe that it's smart to like openly say things directly, to say like a specific 4 words or whatever. I don't think it's smart to say that. Like, I think it's it's something that you should probably keep internalized. But I think in general, I think absolutely, especially so given the current situation. Just so people are clear, Donald Trump was hospitalized with COVID-19 in the past couple of days, which is absolutely hilarious to me. It's the ultimate irony that the man that completely ignored it, said it wasn't that bad, said it was fine, is now suffering from it. That's funny. And I think you're absolutely allowed to laugh at that because, the amount of suffering that man has caused, even the amount of suffering that has been caused because of his lack of attention to COVID-19, that's especially why it's funny because he has really ignored it and really sort of just shied away from it.
Yep.
And it's it hurt people. It's killed people. It's killed 200,000 plus Americans. And that's why I think it's like absolutely hilarious. And the thing that I think the reason like we're talking about this is because there's a lot of conservative and liberal media saying that you shouldn't be saying this. You shouldn't be wishing ill will. You should be hoping for the recovery and stuff. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
Where I am. I'm not outwardly hoping that COVID finishes the guy off. But at the same time, if it does, I could give a shit.
Yeah,
but
I don't care.
It was like when Thatcher kicked the bucket. Being from the north of England, I hate Margaret Thatcher. I hate the Conservatives. I know there's Conservatives in the north of England, but, I don't care. And when she died, I wasn't like sitting at home, like casting some spell, like praying to the moon for her to drop down dead. At the same time, when I got the news, it was lit. Like, like I assume
the thing. It's
when I die, there's going to be someone who didn't like me who's going to be like, yeah, great, glad he's gone. And that's just how life is. You're just going to annoy some people. Like, you don't deserve my compassion if you don't show compassion yourself. Like, people want to have these lofty ideals of taking the higher road and all that bollocks, but like that's not how the world works. Look at like how we got in this situation because the people who took the high road weren't willing to get down into the mud and shovel the shit and do the nitty gritty it takes to actually win things. So now we've got these people in power who were willing to like stoop to levels to get around it. And yes, TV's like, oh, look at this feel good movie where the guy at the end didn't stoop and he won at the end. That's not how life works.
That isn't how life works. Absolutely.
Not at all.
I always think of that like grandma when Thatcher died. You know that granny that's just the granny that was like good, evil woman. I always think of her, and it's like because
Hero.
the thing is right, and it's the thing that I don't get, especially like I understand it from the conservative side because this is their like messiah or whatever, and they're evil people anyway. So I get it. I get why they're like, oh, you shouldn't be saying this, because they're hypocrites. Like they always will be. But I really don't get why the liberal media, who were in agreement with a lot of us on the left that this man is an evil fascist, are now like, yeah, but he's ill. You should have some respect. I hope he gets better. Like what? Like you can't like why do that? I think also Batista agrees with us. By the way, shout out to Dave
Big
Batista.
Comrade Batista.
Yeah, apparently he said very similar because. It's that's the thing. Like a lot of people have suffered at the hands of this person, right? Like a lot of people have suffered. There's children that have died in ICE detention camps. There's just a lot of people have either died or at least suffered. And I don't think you can tell them especially how they should feel about this. Like the families or the people affected. I don't think you can tell them at all. How they should feel about this. Like it's none of your business.
From my perspective, it's that whole thing. It's in the same vein of like money can't buy happiness. Money can absolutely buy happiness. I'd be a lot happier if I had a lot more money. It's sort of like people saying, "Oh, revenge doesn't make you feel better." But I'm pretty sure you can't tell me point blank if he were to pop his clogs tomorrow. One, the world would be a slightly better place, and two, some people wouldn't get some satisfaction who've been wronged by him and who've been a part of groups that have been just under the heel of the American government for so long. It would make them feel a little bit better. And that's the unfortunate truth of the situation. If he were to fall over tomorrow, a lot of people would be happy. And to be honest, as callous as it sounds, the world would be a slightly better place. And does that make me a good person to point out? Probably not. Do I care? Do I fuck? It's the whole the analogy I want to give is Donald Trump versus John Cena. So in wrestling, you have, well, not so much these days, there's grey areas, but traditionally you have two people. You have a baby face and you have a heel. Baby face is the good guy, heel's the bad guy. And wrestling tells you, because it's a struggle between good and bad, that the heel's always going to be underhanded. Yes, he might get a few victories here and there, but at the end, usually the babyface is going to win because he stuck to his guns, he did everything right, and he's going to win in the end. That's not how real life works, but if you boil it down, in order to book that story for it to make sense, the babyface needs to be an absolute idiot. You see like things like the heel distracting the referee, the babyface walking into ambushes along this storyline to get to a conclusion. Whereas real life is that exact story without the conclusion because the Earth is an ongoing thing. So like we're trapped in this thing where people want everyone to be a baby face and they want everyone to do everything by the book, but they're idiots. They're always getting bamboozled, they're always getting defeated, and there is no ending where everyone is happy. That's not how life works.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You cannot be John Cena.
Life's not a movie. Life's not a movie. And that's where a lot of people, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of like libs have this weird like impression that oh, maybe he's gonna get better and he's gonna start like being nice or whatever. Like that's not how this works.
He's not
like,
the fucking Grinch. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
I think you forget about the long history of hurt that this man has caused to a lot of people.
Even before he was president, he was doing
absolutely.
shady stuff in his buildings, renting them out, like just sort of like blackballing black people from getting apartments in places.
And you don't have the right to say to people that have been, especially the people that have been affected by this, that they're not allowed to get some sort of sense of enjoyment out of it, whether it's because they find it funny or whatever. Like, I really don't think you can do that because like they have the absolute right. It's kind of crazy. I feel like one of the big things for me is that a lot of people have this for some reason. It especially annoys me when it's like liberals. Obviously,
Yeah.
it especially annoys me from them because I expect it from the conservatives. Because
Yeah, they're on
conservatives
his
are
fucking team.
yeah, and they're the biggest edgelords on the planet, and they're always going to be hypocrites. Like they say edgy stuff about like marginalized groups all the time,
Yeah.
but they draw the line at you saying like, "Haha, the president's got COVID." Like
Yeah.
they draw the line at that for some reason. But the liberals, on the other hand, they should be like kind of pleased with this. Like, the opponent's like, suffering from something that he ignored
Yeah.
and said wasn't a thing, which they should revel in a bit, but they're not. They have this weird like where is their energy for this kind of stuff for any of the marginalized groups that get affected by this kind of stuff, or
Yeah.
like people saying like horrible things about marginalized groups, or like where's the energy for Breonna Taylor, for example? Where's the energy for that when
Yeah.
conservatives were saying horrible things about her,
Yeah.
horrible things about her
They
to
say it about
make
every victim of
yeah, exactly.
police
They really do
mishandling.
about police brutality. Like, where is this energy when they're always saying like when people pull up people's criminal records and shit when they're dead, when they've been killed?
Yeah.
Like, well, they weren't that great a person. Like, where is the energy for that? No, they don't have that. Like, but someone who clearly has a terrible record of being a human being, people are like, oh, you gotta be nice though. You gotta be nice. I don't know. It's a wild situation though. I feel like overall, it sounds kind of cliche for me to be like, "Oh, 2020," but it is a wild year. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have scripted this year because there's just so much going on that it's like every week there's something wild happens.
Absolutely.
Like last week there was the tax stuff, and you're like, "Ooh, a bit mental that."
Yeah.
And then a few days later, it's like, "All right, well, it's the COVID saga now."
But yeah, I don't understand like especially over the past like 4 years where he was in power. I think the most mortifying thing for me is just like everyone like liberals looking around and going like, "Oh, how did we get here? How did this happen? Like, are you fucking blind? Like, it's because you're all striving for this weird moral purity that only services you and services like the status quo that you were enjoying under Obama, who was also a terrible person. Like, they were sending fucking the kind of military stuff they're sending to Portland now up to the pipeline protests and shit like that. Like, America is a broken country. Like, it's always going to be shitty unless something big changes. And then they're like, oh, how do we get here? If you look at the pattern, just because like everything Donald Trump's doing out in the open was just done quietly behind closed doors beforehand, it's just he's coming with his nuts out. So it's like, how did we get here? Well, it's the natural progression of what happened. Like,
that's the thing is like it's always this like if they go low, we go high. Like no, if they go low, you go fucking low too. Like it's not this isn't a game. This isn't like a TV show or a movie. Like
yeah,
do what you gotta do.
absolutely.
Like,
There's people
do what you gotta do. Get the dub. Like
there's people on the breadline just doing whatever they can to survive, and we
True.
love seeing those stories in films. But the minute someone's on the breadline in real life, oh no, the benefit cheats and stuff like that. Why are they getting benefits and they've also got 3 jobs? Well, because those 3 jobs don't add up to a livable wage, so they need benefits on top of that. Like, the system's fucked. Like,
yeah, it's I don't know, man. It really is. It really is.
so to circle back, it's absolutely fine to hope for the worst for evil people. Like,
Agreed.
I'm not going to lose any sleep if he pops his clogs. I'm not outwardly hoping he pops his clogs, but it's no skin off my back if he does. It's the same if I was an absolute shit. I wouldn't expect people to care if I dropped down dead. I've got a terribly weak immune system. COVID and a light breeze had finished me off, and there's probably people glad that I'd fall over dead tomorrow. But that's life. Like, it's not a film, and I think for a long time after World War II, like, we transitioned into this society, Joker society, where everyone was like, no, you're the main character. Everyone is special and unique. Like, no, you're not. We're all part of this planet and we all need to work together. And maybe you'll not be as important as the guy fighting next to you, but who the fuck cares if we all just have a roof over our heads, food to eat, none of our children are dying? Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to play the support role.
Yeah, I mean, like, so my favorite tweet on the whole thing. There was a tweet from Charlie Warzel, right? I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. It's obvious, but the possible arc of Supreme Court justice dies weeks before election, asked not to be replaced, is immediately set to be replaced, resulting in celebration, and said celebration becomes super spreader event, sending president to hospital is fully difficult to understand. Like, absolutely. You couldn't script this shit. It's wild. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
You couldn't script any of this. Like, it's such a wild turn of events, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the year, but we'll see.
Yep. Well,
We'll
let's
see.
move on to something. Let's move on to something brighter.
Let me just give you some breaking news, though. Cineworld shutting down every single cinema.
Jesus, like permanently or just for the second
all
lockdown?
UK and US venues. Because Bond has been delayed and they just can't deal with it. They don't have anyone going. They don't have any films being released. I mean, like, I kind of expect it. Like, we're going into this all digital world. It's going to be kind of weird, isn't it? Like, we're kind of like moving into this all digital phase.
Yep. Aspects of it are good, but there's also very worrying things. I mean, the basic human connection is slowly being sapped away, which sucks.
Yeah, but yeah, dude.
Although me and Laura have a National Trust membership, which has been useless, this year because everything's been locked down. But if the future means everyone stays inside and watch films, and me and Laura can go to National Trust venues and stuff with no one there and just appreciate nature, that'd be great.
I do love it. I don't know. I like the cinema. I like going to the cinema, but I don't like going when there's people there. So, like, socially distanced cinemas would be great for me, but I just don't think they're going to keep them open because it probably just doesn't make any money.
Yeah, unless it's a film that we're like gagging to see and we don't mind what time we got to see it. Like, I would usually go try and pinpoint the screens with like the least people in, just so I could sit away from them and just watch the film.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that in some vein of like, oh, I'm an introvert, I hate people. Like, I'm a loud idiot, and I'm like talking to people just fine. But like when I'm watching something, I just don't want to be bothered. I just want to sit there and just look.
Like so like the biggest thought for me, when it comes to going to the cinema and having other people around, I always remember when I went to see Avengers Endgame, right? So I went to see Avengers Endgame, and it was probably the most annoying cinema experience in my life because I had some bloke sat next to me, who was like he stank of booze. This was like at 11 in the morning, by the way. He had a 4-pack of beers. He had a 4-pack of beers, which is whatever. I'm cool with that. Like, drink while you're at the movies, dude. Like, enjoy yourself. But he was like, he was there with this like 4-pack of beers, and he was just sat in his big leather trench coat, smelling next to me.
Yeah.
And he was just like trying to follow up on quips from the characters, and it was really bothering me. Like, Iron Man would say something, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, man." I'm like, "What? Like, what are you doing? Like, they're not talking to you. It's a film."
It's man, leave alone.
It's so weird, dude. It was so weird. But that always makes you think. I'm just like, if I could guarantee that everybody, in like the cinema would just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
me and Laura went to see Endgame like 4 times in the cinema, and every time was fine. We didn't have any weird experiences. I mean, it's probably bad for everyone else because I kept blarting on myself every time Steve picked up the hammer, but
I'm just like, I don't know. If I could sign up, and sort of like make it so that the cinema had an agreement that nobody would fucking talk, I'm in. Count me in. I'll do it. I'll do silent cinema all day. There was that one in Newcastle I used to go to because it was like for more movie buffs. You know that fancy one?
Tide Cinema.
Yeah. Because it was nice, and it was also like a little bit more expensive. But everyone who went was like an actual moviegoer, like rather than just going for the sake of it. So nobody spoke. Like, I went to see A Quiet Place there, and it was the most silent thing in the world, which I can't imagine watching that film in, like, the View or something.
Yeah. Last time I went to Tyneside Cinema, it was to watch a double feature of The Room and The Disaster Artist. It was quite interesting. Lots of fun.
Oh.
But yeah. So, speaking of films, I've decided to start on a new venture.
New venture.
Last night I began writing a script.
Ooh.
Yes, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time because I've been reading comics since I was like 5. And sometimes if you get like a big graphic novel edition, it's like the super edition, they'll have stuff in the back where it's got like concept art, and sometimes they put script in there, like in the back. So I was like, oh, so that's how comics are written. I thought like you'd just go through, draw the panel, and put text and stuff because I was an idiot child. But apparently it's just done like films. It's a script, like a play or whatever, and you, instead of stage directions, you just put directions in what's going to happen in each panel. So I've started writing a script for a comic, not for a film or a play. I'm not that sort of artiste. I wouldn't know how to make a play pop. I wouldn't know how to make a film compelling. But I do know comics. So I'm starting to write one. I'm 4 pages deep now. It's fun. I'm having so much
That's
fun.
dope, dude.
Like,
yeah, I mean, like, you know this, I do my like streaming and stuff like that, and it's also, I guess, with the podcast, it's kind of a similar thing. I like having that creative outlet. Like, I feel like creating your own stuff and being proud of what you've created is just the most fun and fulfilling like feeling.
yeah.
Like feeling like, you know, if I do a live stream, for example, I know it's like not the biggest thing in the world. It's just me like playing fucking games in front of a webcam or whatever and talking, and it goes really well. And I feel like it was super fun. I feel like there was energy. You know, I feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
I feel invigorated afterwards, and I think like having that creative outlet is great. And I hope you do well.
No,
is it like
it's very strange because I've tried just about everything. I've tried streaming for a bit. I stream through work, and that's fun because it already has an audience. But I don't think I could ever build up a streaming like base from nothing. I just don't have the patience for it. I tried making YouTube videos, that just didn't stick. But when I started writing the script, you know, when you start something and it's just instantly fun, and you're like, oh, hello. It was like that hit me, and I was like, oh fuck, it's gonna be fun. So
yeah, like when you get that feeling, like I feel like you do just get that, like it just happens sometimes, right? Yeah. You just get the feeling, you're like, hell yeah, dude, like.
So I started for the first time, you know, I was like, whoa.
That'll be sick though. You so like what's your plan with it? Are you just doing it for fun? Are you gonna try and like send it out afterwards, or?
Well, my main problem is I don't have an artist attached to it. So I could write as many scripts as I want. I was looking at Image Comics, which is like an indie company type thing. But they've got like a submissions area where you can submit your idea with like concepts and stuff, and there's a chance they'll pick it up and be like, okay, if you can do this, like we'll finance it type stuff, which is great. And there's other ways to get your comic out there. I could also self-publish, but I can't draw to save my life. Laura can, but she's not confident enough with like anatomy and stuff. And my brother could draw as well, but his drawing style, he takes a while to finish things because he has a good eye for detail and stuff like that. And I don't really know any other like artists that would do a comic. I know plenty of people who do art, but it's very much to do big commission pieces. They don't do like whole books at a time.
Would you need that though? Would you need that to go with it? Like, would you need the visual element to go with it?
I think so, yeah, just to get the better idea of like what needs to happen across. Because I don't think it's a case of like I could submit a script to like say Image Comics, or if Marvel or DC had a submission program, and then they'll attach an artist on my behalf and just like, okay, we believe in this, we'll put this artist on it, because whatever. Also, that's speaking from like a position where my script would be good. Like I like what I'm writing, but I could send it off and they could be like, this is garbage. But I've always... Yep, Karen.
That's like I think that's just part of it, though. I think you just have to just be confident in what you do.
Oh yeah, I don't mind like say because with my freelance and stuff, I'm used to like submitting something, getting feedback and improving. So I haven't got that weird thing where I was like, oh, I'm scared to submit it in case somebody hates it. Because I've grown up and for 28 years now I've been ginger, so rejection is not something I'm afraid of. It's commonplace. So not worried about that. But shout out to David Gallagher who pointed me in the right direction. They write currently, I think they write a comic called The Only Living Girl, which is a sequel to their other comic, The Only Living Boy. They've also written for Green Lantern and Ghost Recon Breakpoint because they do video games as well. Who follows me on Twitter? I think just because I work for Ubisoft, and like we've just on the timeline, we've went back and forth on like certain things, like because he really likes New Warriors, which is the team that my favorite superhero started on, Nova. So we talk about like favorite covers and stuff like that every now and then. And I just sent him a private message to say like I'd like to start like writing scripts and stuff for comics. Like, do you have any resources? And he sent me a bunch of really useful stuff. So shouts out to him for taking the time out for that. Yeah, like most writers and artists in the comic community are really nice people. So it's pretty cool. So I'm having a blast with that. I'm 4 pages deep. I was writing it before we started the pod today, and each issue is around about 22 pages. So I'm thinking of doing finishing a first issue and then maybe sending it off to a few people to let them have a read, see if it sucks or not. But yeah, early stages. Literally started last night, but it seems to be fun. So
good man. Good man. That's good. That's fun. Speaking of films, I watched a nice little film.
I've got it noted down on the agenda. James's nice wee film because he didn't tell me what it was.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I usually just sort of watch stuff on recommendation, like, or I find it hard to sit and watch a film lately. Just I enjoy doing it, but a lot of the time I just sort of I'm playing a game, or a friend of mine messages me and says, "You want to do this? You want to do that?" And I just, I completely forget about just switching off and watching a film for a bit. But one of the folks in my stream community, shouts to Hugh, I know he listens to the podcast as well. Good lad, top lad. He wanted to watch a film the other day, so we watched it like over Discord called Inside Llewellyn Davis.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It was good. It's like a black comedy.
Yeah.
About a like folk singer.
Okay.
Played by Oscar Isaac. Very good.
Nice.
And it was good, man. It was good. It's like it had good music. Obviously, I feel like it's super important for a film about music to have, like to have like kind of authentic tunes. It was very, very good. It was very, very good. It was an enjoyable little flick. I enjoyed watching it. A bit of a big cast as well. I didn't expect.
I do enjoy Oscar Isaac. He's a very, very talented man.
Oscar Isaac. Adam Driver was in it for a bit. Yeah. John Goodman.
We love
Justin
John
Timberlake. We're not sure on anymore.
He was in a film I watched yesterday. Actually, I finally got around to watching that. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou with George Clooney and the guy from Transformers and stuff like that. Bloody
Justin
good film.
Timberlake.
No, Justin Timberlake wasn't there. He was too busy fighting Vax people.
JT, classic JT.
Also, I watched another film. It was quite upsetting, but I got the point of it. It's about these old blokes, and they don't have much going on, obviously, because they're old and all that. I'm assuming all their wives have died and all that stuff, and they just get together for like one last shindig. It's called Lemon Pie.
What?
It's called Lemon Party, mate. You should look.
The film's called Lemon Pie.
Don't look it up.
No. But like, I know what Lemon Party is.
That was the joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm out of it. So I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, Google it. It's a bunch of old blokes sucking each other off. Good one, Gary.
Man, turn the podcast off.
Yeah, good one, Gary, mate. Nice.
I framed it as a feel-good comedy, comedy of errors.
What year are we in? Right now when you're bringing up fucking Lemon Pie?
I was going to say I watched a film. Spin. I was going to go with Mr. Hands and spin you a yarn about a feel-good tale about a retired racehorse.
You can't trick me with anything like that.
I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to get a short burst joke off, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, let's
Those
go
were
all
trying
the
to
way
get
back.
some short bursts off.
Went to a fucking new burger restaurant at the weekend. It's called Meat Spin. Check it out.
All the burgers on a conveyor belt.
Did I ever tell you about the time in my politics class in college? That I always keep this in mind just because it was such a funny moment.
Yeah.
Where like I was in politics class and our teacher she wasn't very great. Like she kind of, I don't think she cared much. So she was always like, let's just do stupid shit, let's watch videos, whatever.
She put Meat Spin on the projector.
So I did. But the way I got it done is there was a website back in the day, a classic bait and switch called what was it called? Phone Trace.
Okay.
It was called Phone Trace, right? And basically what it did is you typed in like an address or you typed in a phone number and it came up with this like fake map where it zoomed in on the houses and then it was just Meat Spin at the end, right? And I was like, yeah, go on Phone Trace. And like everyone in the class was like, yeah, do my number. So they put it in. And everyone was like watching, like, oh shit, is this gonna be it? And then just on comes the fucking Meat Spin. My teacher, luckily, wasn't the kind of teacher that would get me in trouble for something like that. But she was just like, what are you doing? I was in the corner of the room, just absolutely creased. Because no one else found it funny. Everyone was like, why?
You're
I'm just like,
bad man.
Oh, it's a classic moment. I'm proud of it. I'm almost proud of that moment. You know what I mean? It was funny, dude. It was funny, but yeah, that was a classic moment in my young life when I just used to try and make funny non-stop. All fucking gas, no brakes, baby. Let's go.
Disgusting. Speaking of all gas, no brakes, it's time to move on to the next topic. So, as I touched on at the very start of the podcast, one of the things I listened to is our last podcast on the left. I'm not really into like the serial killer episodes because like real human evil is boring to me. I know it happens. Like, I don't care. Yeah, there's killers and stuff. Not into that. But supernatural and alien shit, sign me up. So I recently re-listened to the Men in Black episodes because they're creepy as fuck and they scare the shit out of me. And I love torturing myself. So the question is, James, what are your thoughts on aliens?
Aliens, just like as a whole.
Also, I just want to clarify, I do have a cough, but it's just a seasonal cold change. Like when the seasons change, you get a cold. I'm not dying, I promise. Well, you never know. Carry
on. So aliens as a whole, I 100% believe in. 100%. Like, I don't think there's any denial. I don't think you can deny aliens, like, or deny the like prospect of aliens, because there's no way in the grand scheme of things that we are the only fucking sentient beings in the universe. Like, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
Yep.
So I absolutely think that there are aliens out there. Whether or not, I don't think any have come into contact with us as much as like the way I always think about it. I always think like we don't have the technology, right? Like, why do we always presume that an alien life form would either one be humanoid, like it could be some sort of creature or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or two, be as technologically advanced, like, you know, as we are or more. Like, obviously in sci-fi, like aliens are all like, you know, they have spaceships, they have like ray guns, all this kind of stuff. But I feel like if it was more realistic, like if there was life on another planet that was humanoid, it would probably just be like insanely similar or less technologically advanced. I don't know, because I don't see another life form being like this high-tech superpower in the world. Like, maybe it is.
I disagree.
Really?
I don't disagree about the existence of the aliens.
You disagree with me? I'm done. We're not podcasting
anymore. Fuck you. My views on aliens are the gospel. No, I think the way just how space and time works, we're not the only life in the galaxy, but also there's going to be alien civilizations that are miles ahead of us, and there's going to be alien civilizations who are in the dirt right now, returning the monkey, slinging their own shit around. I do agree that not every alien race is probably going to be humanoid. I believe they're probably just adapted to whatever planet they exist on. So there could be sentient gas people, all types of shit. But how do you fancy our chances if we are attacked by hostile aliens?
I mean, it really depends, like, what kind of hostile aliens we're talking. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we're talking
Yeah.
like War of the Worlds kind of thing, like,
Mm-hmm.
these big fucking robots with ray guns and shit, and absolutely not. Like, we're fucked.
Actually, James, I just want to stop you there. The aliens in War of the Worlds are little fat spherical disc Yorkshire pudding looking motherfuckers with
Well,
beaks. They just
you know
happen to
what I
be
mean,
piloting the
though.
robots.
Yeah, if
So
they have this technology though, like if it's classic sci-fi aliens with like mad technology, that can just
yeah,
like raise fucking like cities with beams and shit, like then of
yeah.
course we're fucked. Like we destroy ourselves before we destroyed them. Like what are the weapons that the most powerful weapons we have as a race is nuclear weapons, right?
Yeah.
So they'd absolutely fuck us over as well. Like we'd be like self-destructing basically.
Yes.
Um,
I to an extent I agree. I think if they catch us by surprise, but even then, here's what my thought will be. I think attacking the Earth, because as much as I'm not the biggest fan of half of humanity, the racist, the bigoted half, fuck 'em. But like one thing humans are extremely good at is war, unfortunately, and just surviving. So I think it would be the equivalent even if they had better technology than us, we'd find a way to steal it and just wreak havoc on the galaxy. It'd be sort of like when you say a dude is just punching an anthill, and the ants just happen to be those kind of ants that eat flesh. And like they slowly encroach up his arm and then just eat his entire body. I think that's what we'd be like to an alien coming down and trying to like take us over. We'd just be like, no, this is our ship now.
I feel like I feel like in general, if there are like aliens out there, they are probably not humanoid. I think they're probably like some sort of like gas or like
Yeah.
amoeba or something like that, which isn't very exciting. But in the if we're going full on fucking big dick movie like fucking theories here, because
Oh,
it's
we
more
always
fun,
go big
right?
dick here on Desperate
Yeah,
for
I mean that's
Content.
that's more fun. Like I see, I'm
Mhm.
I'm personally in these kind of conversations way more of a fan of this kind of shit because I know, like as I say, if it's legit, probably it's just gas or fucking amoebas or whatever. Like that's probably not it, but probably commonly that, right?
Yeah.
But like I like to think of it in a fun sense because what's the point in having this conversation otherwise? It's like with films and games and stuff where people are like, yeah, well that wouldn't really happen, would it? Like that's the fucking point. Like
Yeah.
so it's entertaining. It's meant to be entertaining. Would you want them to sit there and do things realistically? Like, yeah, but he wouldn't really be able to fly that fast, would he? Like, he can fly. You can't do that in real life. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, yeah, but like, if this was real, he wouldn't be able to fly through that. Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, why are we doing this? Like, does every game have to be fucking boots on the ground military action?
Yeah.
Like, has to be realistic. Like, okay,
But on the
so
other side, I think we'd also fuck it up if the aliens were peaceful. So we find a way to just fucking annihilate them because humans are shit.
well, this is the thing. I feel like if there was like a peaceful race of like little fucking green men or whatever, we'd absolutely fuck it up as a race. We'd absolutely
Mm.
fuck it up. People would be like, "Yeah, come on down," and then they'd fucking capture them or some shit.
Yeah.
And then we bring it upon ourselves, whatever fiery wrath from the mothership was coming up. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Or what happens if like we run into an alien civilization that are completely ahead of us technology wise, like all that stuff, but they're similar to us in terms of like just temperament and like social cues. So like little green men, they come down, we get on with them in some sort of miracle where the human race isn't a ball of fear and xenophobia. And we're just like, all right, let's work together, let's do some science. And one of the alien scientists just like carries the one on one of our calculations and like disproves all the fucking science that we know on Earth, which should pardon me, bring a whole like new age of prosperity. But because he just deconstructed all of our science by carrying the one, all of our heads just explode, or we just completely go mad because of all the new information coming in. Like I think it's going to be something unfortunate like that, just like something well intentioned will just fuck us.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things that I always think that I don't know. Like I don't think it's going to happen, but I think if it ever did, we'd be fucked, man. We'd be absolutely fucked. We can't like look after ourselves. Like how are we meant to deal with like we can't even like communicate across country.
Yeah.
Like without other people fucking like foreign negotiations and stuff are always they're always fucking hard.
Yeah.
Let alone with alien superpowers who definitely do not speak the same language as us.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a little crazy, but
Didn't wasn't I can't remember because it got swept up in like the millions of scandals and like explosions and shit that happened this year. Um, but didn't they just release a bunch of stuff that were like, yeah, aliens are real, lads? I
I
feel like
mean,
some documents got released that were
I
like
feel
just like,
like there
yeah,
was something like I
um,
mean, I'm pretty sure we found like living conditions on other planets for whether that's for like actual people or for like like humanoid creatures or for just like gases or whatever. But I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
yeah. I'm in a
I'm
weird
pretty
place with
sure.
my belief over alien intentions and visits because I'm not on board with the idea that there's aliens among us and stuff like that.
Oh, I
Um,
am
because
the My Pillow guy is an alien, 100%.
Okay, but I think like because traditionally, like when the because you see the talk about aliens like evolving over time into are there among us, but like at the beginning it was just sort of things like a pilot would see a strange object, one or two people got abducted to their spaceship. I think every now and then aliens come down, check up on us. Are they interesting yet? No, fuck off for a while. I don't think they care past that. I don't think they're among us trying to like influence our government. I think they're at a level where they couldn't give a fuck about our earthly politics um, until it was like a danger to space itself, which it isn't at the moment. So I think it's just a case of that. I don't think
I mean,
it's
take a look at people like fucking what's his name, Gary Spivey or
from
Spivey.
the science psychics network.
Yeah, I just sent you a picture in Discord.
Yeah, I
Just
know who Gary
take a
Spivey
look
is.
at that
He was
and tell me
actually
that there's not aliens among
he was
us.
actually used on a WWE pay per view way back in the day in a storyline. Bless him.
Like
Um,
I find I find stuff like that so like there's so much outrageous shit on this planet. Like
no,
I'm
I
just
think
like
Gary Spivey is just he's like Elton John if he decided to cosplay as a microphone instead of becoming a singer.
he looks like a rice cake, like like those little Japanese rice triangles. He looks like one of those. This is the thing, like I don't. It also looks like a poodle, but
Yeah,
this is probably the most exciting thing about living on this planet.
yeah.
Like, like I would be so as annoying and as like dangerous as some of these people are. Like when we talk
Mhm.
about Alex Jones and
Gary
stuff
Spivey
beforehand.
is a danger to world
I mean,
security. In my
like, but
opinion.
we talk about stuff like Alex Jones and stuff like that, right? Like, and I don't know, Gary Spivey's not a danger, but he's still a weirdo, right? Like, he's still weird. He's
I
still
think
odd.
anyone who dresses like that, and if you are listening, you obviously can't see what we're looking at, but just Google Gary Spivey. It's
Yeah,
nothing
you'll
weird.
know
He's
the
just a
guy.
guy who wears an immaculate headdress and is psychic. Um, but it's like, for me, I'm happy to speculate on the existence of aliens, but I am someone who's personally terrified of ever properly investigating it because I don't want to be approached by the men in black. I don't want to be abducted. I don't want none of that stuff. I just want to know if you're there, lads. I'm not trying to get in deep, like
Have you seen fuck what's that film with the really really like horrible but really good abduction scene? Fire in the Sky. That's the one. Have you
I haven't
seen
seen
that?
that. No.
Bro, it is the probably the most horrifying like abduction scene in any film ever. Like it's very very uncomfortable to watch,
Okay.
but it's like it's really good. It's very well done. It's very visceral. Like it's what I imagine. You know when people like imagine like friendly aliens or whatever?
Yeah.
It's what I imagine actual like alien abductions and shit would be like.
Yeah.
Like they apparently it's based on like a real guy. It's based on
Yeah.
Travis Walton, I
Okay.
think. But it's
Yeah, I
like
know.
it's
I'm familiar.
it's this horrible scene with these like grumpy looking aliens and this dude screaming and they're like looking at him like shut the fuck up, bro. Like they're not
Yeah.
happy with it. And they like cover him in some sort of like gooey cling film thing.
Yeah.
And then start like keeping his eyes open and shit. It's fucked, dude. It's fucked up. Like it's
There's a alien film that I really wanted to see where like you don't see the alien spaceship till the end, but it's done really well. It's like set in a really small town in like the 50s, and there's like a one of the characters is a girl that works on one of like the old telephone switchboards, and she's hearing like weird messages and stuff, and it's really well done. I can't remember the fucking name of it. Let me bring it up, because I will want to watch it later. But yeah, like the actual kid, like meeting the aliens and stuff like that. Unless like the government met them first and stuff, and they were like, come down, they're like, hey, we're cool, everyone's chill. We want to meet you people in like a slow introductory thing. That would be fine, but like getting abducted and stuff, just the idea of it scares the shit out of me.
bro, I speaking of spooky shit like that, I think we should play this and I would love to stream this with you if you'd be down for it.
No.
There's a game called Phasmophobia.
Yeah, absolutely not. I've seen clips of it. No, 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 no,
Bro,
no, no, no.
I really want to stream this game. It looks so fucking funny, but also so scary. So they've made like and I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really really good concept. They've made a co-op game where you play as a team of ghost hunters,
Yeah,
like paranormal ghost hunters, and you have like I think your objective is just to figure out what kind of ghost it is, right? Like you have like different tells for what kind of ghost it is,
yeah,
and you have different tools, and you have to go and figure it out. But I think the ghost can try and kill you, right? Like
yeah.
the
That's
ghost
the
is
part
trying
where
to
I'm
kill
like,
you.
no, thanks.
Yeah, so you'll be walking around and like shit will happen, and you know there'll be things flying around the room, or whatever, or the ghost will be like trying to kill you and shit. But apparently, it's so funny. Like it looks like it just messes with your mind in the best way. And to
Yeah,
have like you and your friends sort of just in that situation together, you know, like oh, have you got the camera, you got the light, like
yeah.
you have to like use a Ouija board and shit as well. And be like,
Nah,
I think
I'm
it'd be
not
so
using a
fun.
Ouija board. Not in real life. Not on a game. No, I'm not trying
I
to
did it
open a
when did
portal
you
to
do
the
it when you
nether
were a
realm.
teenager?
No.
Oh,
Ever
we
since
did
I
all that
was
kind of shit.
ever since I was a child, my mother was like, "You are never using a Ouija board. Like, I don't care if it's real. I don't care if it's whatever. Like, we could go to our graves, and there could be nothing after this. There could be no afterlife. But on the off chance, I do not want to open a portal to another realm where we're all going to have our faces eaten. So you and your brother, you're never doing a Ouija board." I was like, that seems reasonable. I don't want to take
And
the chance.
no, we did it when we were younger. I mean, I feel like it was almost like a rite of passage for the alternative kids back in the day. Like I feel like it was almost like a proper rite of passage. You know, just
Well, we
like
used to do the symbol shit, like light as a feather, stiff as a board, that shit.
did you do did you do Candyman and stuff like that?
No, no, we didn't use anything that would beckon anything from the beyond.
Oh, we tempted fate like, a lot. It's like Candyman was actually one of and Bloody Mary were like the scariest ones for me because
Yeah,
like I
stuff with
don't know.
mirrors is a bit weird.
Yeah, there's something so like real about it. Like mirrors in the dark in general are scary.
Mhm.
Mirrors in the dark are always scary. I don't know. There's something about them. It's just like,
Anyway,
ugh.
just to go, yeah, I found the name of that film in case anyone was wondering.
What's it
It's
called?
called Vast of Night. So VAST, in case my
I
pronounce
might.
of vast
Oh,
is weird.
it's on Prime Video. Might watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's
I
really good. It's nicely done. It's one of them films where there's lots of like quiet periods, but not in a creepy way. It's just a very like the way it's done is sort of like the way it was pitched to me, and that made me want to watch it. Is like it does feel like it's set in a small town, so it's sort of like mundane, and then you've got the background of it being like alien abduction, which is cool. But yeah, So I just don't want to get abducted or taken into another dimension by demons.
Demons.
That's not
What
my.
kind of demons?
Well, let's
Well,
not talk.
sex demons.
Listen, let's not talk about. How about it is October? We've already touched on aliens. How about for the next episode or a few episodes in October, we pick a spooky thing to talk about each episode?
I think we should do that. I think it's that time of year. I think we should keep up with the spooky trends.
Yeah.
Attention, all Halloween hoes! It's time to get spooky. You know what that means. I love those coffee pastas so much, man. Those ones where it's like happy Fottober. Like, send this to all your sexy witches. I fucking love those so much.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
They're so good. They're so good. No, Halloween, honestly, though, like, so you guys have, if you guys do follow me on Twitter or anything, if you're not, what are you doing? Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. Like, I get really into it, dude.
I didn't care about it until about 2 years ago, and Laura started doing my makeup for Halloween. I was like, "Yep, no, I'm into it." Before I was just like, "Yeah, Halloween, I guess," because Laura used to do cosplay and stuff, so she's good with costumes, and I was never good at costumes. So before I was like, "Yeah, I was just putting some fake teeth. Let's go." But yeah.
But like, what I love about it is that one, it's the cozy. Like, autumn is the coziest season. It's the best season. It's cozy as fuck. But Halloween's just such a like fun like thing, right? It's just mischief. It's just spooky mischief. Like, it's for me, it's just cozy. Horror movies, like even like the cute side of Halloween, like little fucking the Peepo pumpkin thing that I sent you, like little fucking frogs in pumpkin outfits and shit. It's funny. It's cute. I like it. It's a nice vibe.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year. I know. Big fan of Halloween. Big kind of Halloween guy.
Yeah. So
I need to figure out what I'm gonna watch though, like Halloween movie wise, because I feel like I'm reaching the point, which sucks by the way, where I've kind of watched a lot of the big like scary movies, like the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know what to watch now. And the same definitely applies more so for video games. So like I love horror games. I really do. I love horror games a lot. But it's honestly one, rare that people make a horror game because it's not like the most popular genre. And two, like rare that there's one that's really good. Like I think the last really good one that I played was probably, I don't know, Canarium was pretty good. Outlast 1 is very good. The second one is the worst game on the planet. Don't talk to me about it.
Okay.
No, I really hate that game so much. It's really bad. But I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that, because like you can make like an action RPG or like an FPS or something like that, right? And it's probably going to be all right. Like as long as you got like a few basic things down,
it's satisfying game loop.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a decent little game. But when it comes to like a horror game, it's like, all right, this needs to be scary. Like it needs to. There are elements to it that need to be really good.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do, and not many people do it in the first place. So I've kind of run out of horror games to play, and I'm not the kind of person that can replay shit like that because I already know what's going to happen, and it doesn't scare me anymore.
Yeah, I don't play horror games at all. I don't. My idea of fun is not being scared.
You don't like scary, do you?
No, I don't. I don't mind scary films. I think I've got a weird relationship with scary films. Because if it's like a slasher, one of like a really gory film, I'll watch it and it's not scary at all because it's obviously just there for the spectacle of like killing. And I'm like, this sucks. Like this is boring. Like if I could just be playing a video game where I could shoot someone's leg off with a shotgun, I could get the idea. Yeah, humans are full of red stuff. Okay, great. But when it's creepy, that's when it gets me. Like stuff like Hereditary. Just the idea of getting abducted by aliens. It's just like the shit you can't see. Like, and you never know when it's going to happen. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, like
then after I watch Hereditary, I was like, that was fucking like great. It made me shit my fucking pants.
It's the same. It's the same experience as riding a roller coaster. It's like it's super intimidating and it's scary, but when you're done with it, you're like, that was really good.
Yeah.
Like that was a good feeling. That was really good. You know. I don't know. I feel like for me, when it comes to like spooky shit, slasher movies and stuff, I love them just because they're fun. They're not scary. They're just fun.
They can be good like that. The first Halloween film just fucking
Like
knocks. Absolutely.
they're great. Like I like the Jason movies as well. Like I think they're fun. I think they're just like they're good movies. You know, they're just thrillers. Whereas with a lot of stuff, like for me, supernatural stuff doesn't really scare me. It's more like realistic shit that scares me when it's like just some psychopath or whatever. Like, oh, you know, that could happen. That's what scares me. Like when everyone was scared of Paranormal Activity, holy shit, I found that the least scary film I've ever seen in my life. It just I don't rate that film at all. Really? I don't rate that film at all. Paranormal Activity, I think it's terrible.
I thought it was a little bit creepy.
I didn't find it scary at all. I don't believe in ghosts. Like I don't find ghosts scary. I think that was the main thing. I just do not find ghosts scary.
See, like I think I'd find if I cards on the table. I believe in ghosts. Maybe I don't know if they're dead people or just like energy beings that have formed through malicious intent.
Like me, I'm an energy being formed through malicious.
Yeah, I'd like to think I like to keep myself open to believing in a bunch of things. Like I don't go around like seeking out ghosts, but like yeah, it's a possibility. But I think like even if I was a skeptic, I'd still find it creepy because I'm like, all right, I know I don't believe in ghosts. Like, what the fuck's happening then? Is it aliens?
The thing is that I'm not scared or I don't enjoy like ghost movies, but I do enjoy like real ghost videos and stuff on YouTube. I love that shit. I love that. Like going down the rabbit hole of just these like, you know, top ghost moments and stuff, or just like paranormal real moments on YouTube is great. I love it. Even though most of it's probably fake or just some random noise or whatever, I think it's great entertainment.
Yeah.
I think it's real good entertainment. Like ghosts caught on fucking like doorbell webcam or whatever. Stuff like that. That's funny, man. It's funny.
But like say if that like what game did you say was Phantasm or whatever? Like
Phasmophobia.
If that was you couldn't get killed and it was just like a Most Haunted type thing where you just took the piss, that would be my ideal game. Like if I could just step into the monolithic boots of Derek Acora and carry on his legacy.
But then it wouldn't be fun. Like you need the threat. That's what makes it scary. The threat.
No, the threat isn't sort of for me. The threat wouldn't be the ghost killing me. It would just be like the fact that there could be a ghost there. That's scary enough. Like.
Oh well, you mean like that the ghost is an entity rather than just like noises or whatever? Like it's an actual
like you could see it and stuff like that. I almost think it would be scarier if it didn't like attack you, because if you just saw like something horrific just floating there and it didn't act on anything, but it was still like moving around, it clearly took an interest in you. You'd be like, "Holy fuck! What the fuck?"
Well, that's the thing. I feel like so from what I've seen of it, there's different ghosts that act differently.
Okay.
So, like, demons, for example, will, like, try and kill you super early on. Like, demons they're super aggressive or whatever. Whereas, like, some of them might try and kill you at some point, or they just can get a bit aggy if you piss them off and stuff. Yeah. And I like that variation to it, where, like, you know, you never know. Until you figured it out, you never know what you're dealing with. Okay. So you're kind of on edge. I like it. We should play it, dude. We should play it. No. Let's do it. We should play it. I'll buy it for you.
No.
I'll buy it for you as a gift, and you have to play it.
No, I don't. I will refuse.
Dude, there's a screenshot here. You can walk around with like a fucking crucifix. You can do that. Keep yourself safe.
Is there a vampire in it?
I don't know. There's like a bunch of different tools and stuff. There's like a fucking crucifix you can walk around with.
You know what? Just completely out of left field, but slightly related. I'm surprised no one's made like an open world game where you like just live out the life of a vampire and you've got like. I know the Vampire the Masquerade exists, but
I was just literally about to say that.
That's just like one where you just literally it's like a sandbox thing, and you got to like make sure you get in before morning comes and all that shit.
I mean, that's what Vampire the Masquerade is.
But isn't that more like a role playing like D&D type?
Kind of, but I think the new one is more towards what you were saying. I think the second one is more what you were saying.
I'm thinking more like Sleeping Dogs, but you're a vampire.
Sleeping Dogs is a bloody good game, by the way.
Fuck yeah!
I
love
really like
Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs. That game fucking slaps. If you make a second one, please. Please make a second Sleeping Dogs. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, man.
It's so good, dude. You know what else was good
Even
as well?
new True Crime, because Sleeping Dogs was just the next iteration in True Crime.
Well, fucking John Woo's Stranglehold as well.
Yeah, I never played
that. John Woo's Stranglehold. Give me that shit too. Give me just give me all these like games that back in the day when everyone was like, let's put slow mo in our game. Give me that generation again. Bring it back. Like, let's just all put slow mo in our games and just do over the top fun shit. Yeah, that's what we need. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Max Payne 3. I think Max Payne 3 is absolutely phenomenal.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I think
you haven't played it?
Not a lot of people played it. I think that was the problem with it. It didn't sell well because
it didn't sell that well. No, but
it
is. I think it's because Max Payne is a franchise. It's one of those kind of. It's more of a cult franchise, right?
Yeah.
Like the first two games, they were very good, but I think they were very like. I don't know, especially the first one. The first one was actually kind of scary. It was very odd. There was a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of like niche at the time. I don't think people really were, buzzed about playing like a Max Payne game at the time. And so 3 did, even though it's a Rockstar game, I think it did okay, but I don't think it did amazingly because people just weren't into Max Payne as a franchise. They didn't see the name Max Payne and think, hell yeah, like, I'm going to play this.
You know what game I've really been wanting, really had the hankering to play, and I don't know why. The second Shadow of Mordor game. I just want to go back and
I completely agree with that. I feel like the weird thing is with games like that, if I could just pick them up right now and play it without having to do any story shit, I'd do it. If I could just skip the entire, like load it up and it just skips the entire like first 20 minutes, so I don't have any tutorials and shit and I can just go around killing orcs, I'd 100% install it and play it. Like I love the gameplay of those games. I just can't be asked unless I'm really feeling it. I just can't be asked with the story.
Yeah,
but
I think every now and then I go through and play all the Arkham games from back to front.
Oh, the Arkham games do slap though. Yeah. They are really good stories,
so it's not too bad getting stuck.
They really do slap. Bro, I've been playing fucking Genshin Impact for like the past week.
Yeah.
Which is basically just anime Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
That game's fucking good, dude.
Mm.
Like it straight up is just anime Breath of the Wild. It's like
is it multiplayer at all? I've seen a lot of people talking about it.
It's pretty fucking good. It's free, right? And it's a gacha game. So I don't know. You know what a gacha game is, or?
I believe I've heard the term before.
Like you ever played? You've probably played the Marvel one. There's like a Marvel mobile game. There's Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, that kind of shit. Where you get characters through like rolling, right? Like you get a certain item or something that you either pay for, or you earn it, and then you sort of do a random roll and you have a chance to get a character.
Okay.
Like that's how you get characters in the game. Apart from like, there's quite a lot of like free ones that you get during the story.
Yeah.
And it's the same system for like leveling up characters. You get items that you earn in the game that, you give to your character to make it level up. But the entire gameplay loop is like an open world. It runs very smoothly, by the way. It's an open world where you can like climb, glide. You have like just regular sort of like action RPG combat, left click to do your attack or whatever. You have special abilities and you switch between like your party of characters to do all this shit. And I was just so impressed that a free to play game that kind of like is intended to make its money off this like gacha model is so playable for free. Like, you don't really need to spend to do okay.
Yeah.
And also just so good. Like it's really smooth and it's fun. It is. It plays.
You didn't answer my question.
Like Breath of the Wild. Go on.
Is it multiplayer?
Sort of. That's the only downside to it. It's you can do co-op and it runs fine. It works fine. But like all you really do co-op is like run. You can do everything co-op actually. You can pretty much do co-op, I think, just in the open world. But the only real reason to do co-op is probably to like do like daily missions or like dungeons or whatever. That's probably the only real like dedicated reason to do it.
I mean, I'm down to play most games on stream with you, but not the horror ones.
But not ghost games.
No.
Come on, it's that time of year. You have to do it.
It's like I don't know what it is. Like just
Bro, what if we imagine we're playing it and it's like the ghost of Bob Monkhouse or some shit? That'd be great.
I want to do that. Not if Bob House is going to like grow another mouth and try and eat me, but like
Gary, I'm over it. Come on in.
But
it'd be great. I'll play it.
No, absolutely not. Like,
Come talk to me.
I'm not really that scared of many things in the physical realm, despite being 2 foot tall. I'm not scared of heights. Not scared of spiders. None of the traditional fears. But when it comes to spooky stuff, nah, get me out of there.
You scared of me?
No, I'm not scared of you.
Sake. I tried.
What's that game called you want me to play?
Sex.
Jesus.
It's called Phasmophobia. Yeah, Phasmophobia.
What is Phasmophobia? Is that the fear of Captain Phasma from Star Wars?
Yeah, the fear of how they fucking wasted that character. That was a cool ass character. Great actress.
Yeah.
Fucking great actress, like cool looking character. They Boba Fetted it. They fucking, sorry to sound like an absolute nerd here. They Boba Fetted that character 100%. Like they had this cool ass fucking character they probably didn't think people would be that into. That looks drippy as shit. Like look at Boba Fett. He's the drippiest looking character in the whole of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like my man just looks cool. Like they've just designed him to look fucking ace. And like they just wasted it. Like he just dies. And it's the same with Captain Phasma. It's like, okay, so she looks mint, but what does she do? Oh, she just dies. She just in the worst way possible too. It's not like she dies in a cool way. She gets like knocked off a platform or some shit. Like, ooh, I'm off. Like, come on, you really gonna do that? Like, okay, let's make this really sick design, but then they slip on a banana peel and then fall into the void. Great, cool, lovely.
Jesus.
Good shit.
I'm looking at all of the YouTube thumbnails for this game, and it's definitely one of those games that a lot of people are going to get a lot of YouTube hits on because people like
one of those games
that you do.
Okay, let me describe one of the thumbnails you're probably seeing. So it's some like I'm gonna say 20-ish, early 20s, white guy, blonde hair. Probably. He's got his hands on either side of his face, and he's doing like the scream, like like he's doing that.
You got everything right apart from the hands. It's a lot of just people just with a shocked face.
Yeah, like the O face, right? There's so many, like one of my favorite things about going through YouTube lately, and I know it's partially probably because of YouTube's algorithm that people do this shit, like that do clickbaity titles or like thumbnails and stuff. But people have like 3 pictures of themselves doing 3 different faces, and they just reuse them over and over again on a different angle. It's like the shocked face, a sort of like big smiley face, or like an oh my god, no way, hands on head, like kind of thing. Hands on either side of your head, like real? For real? Crazy Call of Duty plays.
Do not go into the school. Most terrifying ghost yet.
I can't believe this happened.
I got caught by a terrifying ghost.
It's just me being manscaped in the corner. That's my YouTube video.
What I don't get is the concept behind the game of like, if you're meant to be ghost hunting, quote unquote, do you have any sort of gadgets that you can just shoot the ghost in the face?
No, because you can't. We don't have weapons. It's realistic, Gary. We don't.
Okay, so if you know you're going to go in there and you're going to get murdered by a ghost, why don't you just not go? If you've got no way to fight back. Because you're not going to get murdered
by it. You need to figure out, you need to find out what it is. You need the details. This stuff needs to be on the record.
Okay.
It needs to be on the record, bro. We need to have it nailed down. We know what's going on.
Once you have that,
we know what's happening.
Once you have that information, like, what are you going to do with it?
I don't know. Go home. You're doing it. You're doing the thing that we spoke about before. if this is real, you just go home. Like, it's a game, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that at all.
Ghosties.
I'm not saying that at all. Someone like you who wants to figure it out.
Paid.
What I'm asking, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to develop a method to shoot that ghost in the face with the information you gather?
No, I think you just get paid. You just know the full story, don't you?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to buy it for you.
No, I'm not going to play it. It's going to waste
your
money. I would rather have the money. I'd rather just. I'm not
giving you. No, I'm not giving you the money to. I'm not giving you the money to do whatever.
It would just go into my bank. I'm not spending a lot these days.
Well, that's fun, isn't it? That's a great way to end the podcast. I don't want to play the ghost game, and I don't really spend my money on it.
No, I'm under no illusions. I've got no pride when it comes to this. I would be too scared to play it.
Right. Well, that's completely fine. You're well within your right to say that, but I think the people would like to see it. Okay, I think the people would like to see it.
If someone pays me 2,000 British pounds, I will play the game. Till then,
yeah, definitely worthwhile. That, isn't it? Absolutely worthwhile. God. Anyway, I think that's a good place to call it for the day.
It is. Speaking of you playing games on stream, where can people catch the stream?
Oh, good segue. You can find me at twitch.tv/JimothyZ. I'm still trying to get just Jimothy, but like for some reason there's some guy that has the account that must just watch streams every now and again. And he's just not relinquishing it. So if you are the original like Jimothy Twitch account holder, please give it me. I'll give you a $5. Nice. Other than that, you can catch me on Twitter, twitter.com/JimothyTV. Yeah, it's probably the best two places to find me.
Nice.
You can find me being spooky and shit. Send me your suggestions for spooky shit I should play or watch.
Cool. And as for me, you can catch me on Twitter, StatureUbi, or you can catch me on comicbookresources.com under my name, Gary Walker. My alternate Twitter, which is at Gary Spivey, and then GarySpivey.com for my whole portfolio.
We love a bit of Gary Spivey. So, final message of the day: take care of yourselves, look after each other. Trans rights are human rights. Yep, trans rights are human rights. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Yeah, fuck J.K. Rowling. Maybe don't fuck Gary Spivey. He might be all right.
We don't know. He's holding a gun in one of the photos he said, so I don't want to speak too ill of him.
Yeah, I don't want to speak ill of Gary Spivey because
he's psychic.
He knows. He's heard it already. He's heard this. He's on his way here now. He's on the plane. He's on the astral plane on his way in.
Fucking hell, Professor X now.
Yeah, keep yourselves out of the void. And we'll publish this when Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday 6 p.m. Should we make that like a regular thing now? Should that be our slot? Brighten up your Tuesdays. Tuesday is actually probably the worst day of the week because it has zero significance in the grand scheme of things. So, what better way to brighten up your Tuesday than an hour and a half of us two chatting? Just me getting scared at the thought of playing a spooky game, not actually playing the game. Yeah, it's just, we can go back and forth about that for another 10 minutes. Oh, one last message. If the Men in Black or any aliens are listening, please don't abduct me. I am fucking terrified of that notion. Yeah, NSA, you'll notice we didn't wish any we didn't wish any harm upon people. Yep. We also totally do not think aliens are real. We don't know anything about it. Gary Spivey, you're a nice guy. I think that covers all our bases for today on subjects we might get apprehended for. Other than that, take care of yourselves. Have a good week. Yep. We'll probably see you next week then, eh? See you next week. See you next time. Have a good one, love. Goodbye, everyone.